Hello and welcome to another Divi Booster tutorial. Today, we'll cover how to display two Divi columns side by side on mobile, a great way to save vertical space for compact content like icons, logos, or buttons. We'll explore two methods, using the layout wrapping option in Divi 5 and adding a small CSS snippet in Divi 4. If you're using Divi 4 or want to skip straight to the CSS approach, feel free to jump ahead. Let's dive in. When using Divi on mobile, the default behavior is to stack columns one on top of the other. While this often works well, it can make compact designs like icons, logos, or buttons take up more vertical space than necessary. In this tutorial, we'll show you how to make those columns stay side by side instead, so your layouts look cleaner and use space more efficiently. Let's take a look at the difference this update will make. By default, when using Divi on mobile, columns are stacked one beneath the other. This is the standard behavior, as Divi aims to ensure readability and usability on smaller screens. However, if you're working with compact content like icons, logos, or buttons, this stacking can take up more space than necessary. Let's take a quick look at how this default layout appears. Once we apply the changes, the columns that originally stacked vertically on mobile will now stay side by side. This adjustment ensures both columns share the available space, creating a cleaner, more space-efficient layout for compact content. Take a moment to visualize the transformation this will bring to your design. To display two Divi columns side by side on mobile in Divi 5, we'll take advantage of its Flexbox layout settings. These settings make it significantly easier to achieve this layout compared to Divi 4. Let's walk through how to do it step by step. The first step is to locate the row containing the columns you want to align side by side. Hover over the row to reveal the green row buttons. If your Divi builder is set to click mode, you may need to click on the row instead of hovering. Once the buttons appear, click the gear icon to open the row's settings. Next, make sure you're in the phone edit mode. To do this, click the edit mode icon located at the top right of the row settings and select phone. This step ensures that any changes you make will only affect the mobile view of your site, leaving the desktop layout untouched. If you're aiming for a two-column layout on tablets as well, simply choose the tablet view instead. Now let's adjust the row layout to keep the columns side by side. In the row settings, head over to the Design tab. Under the Layout section, you'll find an option called Layout Wrapping. Change this setting to No Wrap. This disables the Flexbox wrapping that was causing the columns to stack on top of each other. After making your adjustments, don't forget to save your changes. Look for the Save or Publish button in the top right corner of the Divi 5 builder and click it to ensure all the updates are applied to your page. Now, when you view your page on the front end, you'll see the two columns displayed side by side on mobile, each occupying 50 of the screen width instead of stacking vertically and using the full 100 width. You might still want to fine-tune the design to ensure everything looks perfect with the new layout. Adjustments like font sizes, margins, and padding can be made using the usual module settings to ensure the content fits well within the smaller column widths. If your columns are still stacking after following the steps, here are some common things to check. First, ensure that you've applied the wrapping or flex settings to the row itself, not the column or module. Next, double-check that you're using the layout wrapping method, as the Divi 4 display flex approach no longer works in Divi 5. Also, confirm that you're editing within the correct responsive view. Make sure you're in phone view if you're adjusting the mobile layout. Additionally, large padding, wide images, or long text could be causing issues. You can reduce these using Divi's responsive settings. Finally, always test your changes on the front end or an actual mobile preview instead of relying solely on the Visual Builder preview. For more detailed troubleshooting tips, check the accompanying post. Now that your two columns are displayed side by side on mobile, you might want to make some additional tweaks to ensure the layout looks great on smaller screens. For example, if the columns feel too cramped, adjusting your mobile content width can make a big difference. Additionally, if your design includes small text, icons, or tightly spaced elements, enabling pinch-to-zoom functionality may improve the user experience. For detailed steps on these adjustments, check out the related guides linked in the accompanying post. In Divi 4, there isn't a built-in option to display columns side by side on mobile. However, you can easily achieve this by applying a small CSS adjustment to the row. We'll be using the flex property to align the columns next to each other. Let's walk through the process step by step. The first step is to locate the row with the columns you want to display side by side. Hover over the row and you'll see the green row buttons appear. If your Divi Builder is set to click mode, you may need to click on the row instead of hovering. Once the buttons are visible, click the gear icon to open the row's settings. To display your Divi columns side by side on mobile, we'll use a small CSS adjustment. Start by opening the row's settings, then navigate to the Advanced tab. Under the Custom CSS section, click on Module Elements. In the main element box, input the CSS property Display Flex. This tells the row to use the flex layout, which aligns the columns next to each other horizontally. Once entered, your columns should shift to a side-by-side arrangement. Once you've made your updates, it's time to save them. First, click the green check mark at the bottom of the row settings. Then, to save the entire page, open the Page Settings toolbar by clicking on the round purple 3 dots button at the bottom of the Visual Builder area. From there, click the Save button to apply all your changes. Now, when you view your page on the front end, you'll see your two columns displayed side by side on mobile, each occupying 50 of the screen width instead of stacking vertically at full width. If the layout doesn't look quite right, you can adjust things such as font sizes, margins, and padding as needed. All the usual module settings work perfectly in this new layout, so feel free to tweak them to suit your design. For further customization, especially to modify settings specifically for mobile without impacting the desktop layout, refer to the guide linked in the accompanying post. Now that your two columns are displayed side by side on mobile, you may want to refine the layout to ensure it looks great on smaller screens. For instance, if the columns feel too close together, adjusting the spacing between them can help. Similarly, you can tweak font sizes or other module settings specifically for mobile using Divi's responsive settings. If you're working with a specialty section instead of a standard row, a slightly different approach may be required. For detailed steps on these adjustments, I've linked a few helpful guides in the accompanying post. If you're wondering whether this method works for 3 or 4 Divi columns on mobile, it's important to note that this tutorial is specifically designed for 2-column rows. Achieving 3 or 4-column layouts on mobile typically requires a different CSS approach to ensure the columns have appropriate widths. For more specifics on handling these layouts, refer to additional resources or guides. And that's it. You can now keep 2 Divi columns side by side on mobile, either by using the layout wrapping option in Divi 5 or with a small custom CSS snippet in Divi 4. Once you've made these changes, take a moment to review the rest of your mobile layout. Ensure that the content remains easy to read, the spacing feels balanced, and everything is arranged in the right order. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If your columns are still stacking, if you need more adjustments, or if you're working with a different type of Divi layout, feel free to leave a comment in the post. I'll be happy to assist. Thanks for watching.